really fun show for you tonight because we'll be taking a look at some cool features that you didn't even know you needed. This is going to be really fun. So today we're going to take a look at 4 cool enhancements that has been made to the table widget. Then we'll take a look at the new feature that makes it possible for you to use templates in an already existing application. And we'll take a look at one really cool feature for business users, that's Audit Logs. And finally, we have the SetTimeout and ClearTimeout functions available on AppSmith. This is going to be a really packed show. I'm sure you're excited for this. My name is Confident and I'm a developer advocate at AppSmith. Without any delay, let's get started. Alright, for us to get started, we'll start by looking at updates that have been made to the table widget. And the first update we'll be looking at is support for table virtualization. So what this means essentially is that right now, the tables widget performance has been improved such that it can render really large data without crashing your app or impacting the performance of your applications. So I'm just going to show you this really quick. I'm going to try to render a really large CSV file in the table widget. So let's go select that file. So I'm going to have that file selected. This is a massive CSV file. As you can see, this is a 1.7 megabyte file. I'm going to have this uploaded. And as you can see, the table widget is handling it pretty well. This has about 10,000 records, as you can see right here, which is massive, but we can easily page through that data and it really has no impact on our application. Like, this just works really nicely. So this means that you'll be able to build data-heavy applications without having to worry about performance or slow apps for your end users. This is a really awesome feature and I know it's going to help you build really powerful apps on AppSmith. Alright, moving on to the next update on the table widget. We now have support for select column types in the table widget. This is going to be handy when building inline editing for the table widget. So I can show you a quick demo here. So let's say I have this user information rendered on a table and we have the ID, which is a number, name, which is text, email, which is text, and gender. We want users to be able to select from a list of predefined values for the gender, for example, male, female, and non-binary. We can actually set this up now in the table widget. So all I need to do is head over to the properties of the table, go to that particular column. So I'm going to set this to the select column type. All right, and now we need to provide some options. So this is going to be an array of label value options, just like you would in a regular select widget. And now we actually have it all set up. So I'm just going to head back to the table widget, enable inline editing, and in fact, we can turn on multi-row inline editing. And here, whenever I go to edit the gender, I should have a drop down to choose from. So I can have this set to male, female, or non-binary, and as you can see, that has been updated and this is really nice. So if you need to build complex inputs for the table widget, the select column is going to get you far enough, and this is a welcome addition when it comes to being able to fill in data inside of the table widget using the inline table editing feature. Alright, so moving on to the next feature, the table widget now has support for auto-detecting column types. So this means that whenever you give it some data, the table widget would try as much as possible to figure out the type of data it is and render it appropriately in the table widget itself. So we already actually have support for this for the number and plain text input type. For example, the ID here is a number. So if I go in here and turn on inline editing, and try to edit this field, I can't add in text because this is a number. I can only add in numbers, as you can see. Same also goes for the text. This is also correctly detected, but we've actually also improved on this and we've added 2 more types that are automatically detected in the table widget. We've added support for the date type and we've also added support for Boolean types. So I can go in here to show you this. So we have the date of birth column here. If I go in to show you this, you can see that this has been correctly detected as a date type. Same also goes for the approved, which is actually a Boolean. So if we take a look at the table data here and I try to show you the evaluated value, this actually has a Boolean value of true or false, as you can see. It's either true or false. But if we're going in here to the column, this is correctly detected as a Boolean type and a checkbox is rendered to make it easy to actually input data into this field. So if I go to set up multi-row editing, I can actually go into check all of the checkbox for here, for example, or uncheck them if I want to. This is working because we're now able to figure out the correct data types and render them in the table widget. But as you can see, we have a way to go with this feature. The image URLs are not being correctly detected as images and rendered as images within a table. So we'll be adding support for more column types or data types in the coming feature, to the point where you just need to bind in data like we did here, and the table widget will be smart enough to figure out all of the data types and render all of the fields correctly so that you can just turn on inline editing if you want to set that up. So this is a nice step in the right direction, and we're going to improve on this feature and make it even better. Alright, so let's move on to the last update on the table widget. And we now have support for resizable table images. This was a really requested feature, and I'm glad it's here because it makes the images in the table widget actually usable. So imagine you were actually displaying product images in a table. The small image window here is going to be too small and not usable. So now we have a feature that fixes that, and I'm just going to show you how to use it. So go into the table, let's go to the image column, and if you head over to the style tab, you now have the ability to change the image size. So you can set this to large, for example, and this is really large and usable, or you can also set it to medium, and this is also still better than the default, which was really small. So yeah, this is a lovely feature that makes the image column type actually usable in the table widget, and I'm glad we have this update here too. So that wraps it up for the updates we have on the table widget. Now we'll move on to the templates feature, and I'll catch you there. Alright, so moving on to the templates feature, we've always allowed you to use templates in AppSmith, but now we have a feature that makes it possible for you to import specific pages in the templates into an already existing app. So right here, as you can see, I have a blank canvas, and here we have two buttons. One to generate a CRUD app from your database, and of course the other is to start from a template. And I just want to mention this, that if you have a widget on the canvas, these buttons actually go away, but if you have no widget on the canvas, they come back so that you can always use any of these options to get started. So let's start from a template, and here we can actually pick a template to use. So let's go with the marketing portal template. And something you notice here is that we can choose which pages to import. This is really important. So you can go with the full app, but if you only need certain pages, you also have the options to pick just the pages you want. So let us use the send messages page. I do not want the customer data page, and let's select to use this template. Alright, as you can see, we have the template imported. Of course, I have failing queries because I actually do not have the data sources correctly configured. I would need to go set this up, but this actually works, and I've just been able to import a specific page from a template. This is really cool. Now, something you would also notice when creating new pages is you now have the option to also import a page from a template directly from the new page button. So if I go up here to click on the create a new page button, I can either create a blank page, which is what you'll be doing most of the time, or you can go select that page from a template like we did earlier. You can go browse the template, select a page, and have it used in your application. And this just reduces the friction of using the really cool templates we have on AppSmith. Alright, so that is the feature that enables you to use templates on AppSmith, and I think this is going to make your experience so much better when it comes to using templates. Alright, so now let's move on to a really important feature for large teams, and that is Audit Logs. We finally have Audit Logs available on AppSmith, and this is really important because it's just like Git Blame but for AppSmith. So it's going to come in handy if you have a setup that has a lot of collaborators working on your self-hosted instance, and this is also going to make it possible for you to find that user who deleted the application so that they can get fired. Alright, so let's take a look at this feature. I am going to go to my dashboard right now, and just a couple of notes here. This is only available for business users, so one more reason for you to upgrade to the business plan so that I can keep my job and you can have this awesome feature. And it is also only available for instance admin users. So let's go to the admin settings page, which you would find right here. So let's click on that. and here we have audit logs. Talking about user access, we would be expanding on the number of users who have access to this feature when we roll out access control. So you can give users specific permissions to have access to audit logs when that feature rolls out. And of course, that's also going to be available for the business users. So right here, we have the audit logs page, and this looks really awesome. So we can see all of the events that have been happening in our application. We can see a brief description. We can see the user that triggered that event, and we can see the date and time that that event happened. And of course, we can drill down in to see the exact changes that was made. For example, I have all of this information right here, and I can go check it out to figure out what change was made by this user. So something I would like to show you real quick is, let's try to find out that user that deleted the apps. So I'm going to go to select event. We have these awesome filters here as well. I am going to go look for application deleted event type, and we can see the users that have been deleting apps in our instance. So we have this user 11.1, and I can take a look at the app that was deleted right here. Something cool I can also do is I can click on this user's email, and that is going to be applied to the filter. And I can go back to see all of the events performed by that selected user. So this makes it possible to see all of the events by that user. And of course, I can filter by resource type and also select the date range I want to use for my filter. So this just makes it really easy to find out who did what and when, so that we can go blame that person. All right, so this is the audit logs feature, and it's a really, really important feature for large teams. We already have tons of documentation for this feature, so I'm going to have it linked below so that you can go check it out and then make a decision if this feature is worth the upgrade. All right, so that's it for the audit log feature. Let's move on to the next feature we'll be taking a look at. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for, drum roll please. We now have the SetTimeout and ClearTimeout functions available on AppSmith. This was a long awaited feature. I personally have been waiting for it, and I'm so glad it's here right now. So I have this page set up to quickly show you a simple demo. And of course, the SetTimeout and ClearTimeout function APIs are the same as what you're used to in regular JavaScript. So I can go show you the logic for this app right here. Let's go open the app.js file. And you can see that we have two functions. We have the schedule message function that uses the SetTimeout, and you can see it's the exact same API. So this takes in a message and a delay, and here we are showing an alert and passing in the delay to the SetTimeout function. And the same also goes for the ClearTimeout function. So we have this delete schedule function, and it takes a timeout ID, and with that timeout ID, you can clear a timeout or delete a scheduled timeout. So that's a quick overview of the API. And right here, to show you how this actually works, we can go schedule a message. We can say running in 4 seconds, and we can set the delay to 4 seconds, for example. And once I hit run, let's give this 4 seconds, and we should see the message come up. And we can see that we have that message showing up 4 seconds later, which is awesome. We also still have the ClearTimeout function like you saw. So if I have a message scheduled, I can actually clear that scheduled message by passing in the timeout ID, and we have it cleared, and it's not going to show this message whatsoever. So this is a really neat feature. I think the JavaScript experience on AppSmith is fairly complete. We have the SetTimeout, ClearTimeout functions. We also have the setInterval, ClearInterval functions as well. That has been available on the platform for a while now. But if you feel there's a feature we're still missing, please let me know in the comment section. But aside from that, I think this looks good to me. This is a really awesome experience. All right, that's our show for tonight, guys. We actually had more features and fixes to show you than we had enough time to cover in today's release jam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link to our release notes down below so that you can go check it out and see all of the exciting features and fixes that were shipped in the last month. All right, so that's it for today's video. Don't forget to get subscribed, and I'm going to catch you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. Don't forget to get subscribed. Bye-bye.